Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I am delighted to welcome a very senior and accomplished professional and an author from Massachusetts, USA, Mr. Bruce Randall. Bruce, welcome to the show.
Well, Astush, thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here, and I look forward to talking with you on the show. And I'm a fan of your books. I think they're wonderful, and I look forward to the dialogue.
Thank you. Bruce is a transformational business development leader. He has shown 20 to 30% returns. He's a people's leader. He collaborates with companies to provide AI understanding from a thought leader position, and he's writing a book, his first book, which is going to be titled The AI Human Paradox, a very important subject indeed. So, Bruce, before we talk about AI and thought leadership, tell me about your own journey and what sparked your interest in business development.
Sure. Well, that's a very good question. The first job I had out of college was when I started in college to build a business, and I was very instrumental in that. And then I transitioned to a company. And then during the interview, they said, Bruce, IBM mainframes are going away, and we need somebody to replace that cash cow.
Hmm.
And we talked, and they hired me to do that as a quota sales engineer. And they said, go find the next IBM. And I said, well, this is a tall order, but I said, I
Uh-huh.
know we can do it. So I went and I created a plan, research plan, and then I executed. And I executed by going to different companies strategically chosen around the country and starting business by going in through the engineering field because through purchasing it's hard to get in, but engineering I could walk in the side door and talk to the engineers and
Right.
train them,
Hmm.
which I did. And then we received print position, which means that you have 100% ownership of everything they buy for the next few years until they get a second source.
Hmm.
And I hired manufacturers reps in all the areas that I developed, and then I developed and managed those reps. And in my first job, I earned 30 to 50% increases per year in my first job as sales. And I said, this is a great choice of career. I can do well and I have a lot of success.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you worked across several industries. How did these experiences, which are so diverse, shape your strategic thinking?
Well, it allowed me different perspectives that you tend to get in different industries because they operate a little differently in how they plan and execute.
Hmm.
And through the travels to different industries, I created my own form of strategy by learning from each industry what they were doing. And then as we're in this, this AI trajectory now, putting that together with AI is something that has given me a lot of knowledge and insights into how many different industries can use it, but a good way for them to enter into it.
Hmm. Well said. You're currently working on a book titled The AI Human Paradox. Given your experience across so many diverse industries, what was the inspiration to start this project?
Well, the inspiration was I've been meditating for close to 15 years and Reiki master for the same. So I have different perspectives
Hmm.
on life than most people do.
Hmm.
And when I saw the chip go in Nolan's from Neuralink on his brain and they put the probes in, and he could operate a computer mouse very effectively. And he said, sometimes the mouse moves before I think about it, but it always goes to the right place.
Hmm.
And I said, I can move paper on my desk with my mind, and he can do it through a chip. So each AI and humans have one foot on that bridge, and they're starting to come together,
Hmm.
one through assist with AI and the other through developing who we are truly. And I thought that was quite a paradigm, and I wanted to write about it. But I thought a lot of people don't understand consciousness and fewer people understand AI. So I need to make this, elementary to bring
Yeah,
people to a point where everybody understands it.
absolutely. And this would be a very valuable book for a lot of readers because everyone's wondering what next with AI. But let's talk a little bit
Hmm.
about your book now. What does the AI human paradox mean to you? And why do you think it is important for business leaders to understand this paradox?
Well, Bernard Mark put out on LinkedIn a few weeks ago, do you think AI is sentient? And I said, well, for him to put that out, and I know it's getting a lot of press, it comes and goes. And there were various answers to that, and people just don't really understand what that means. So with with the experience in sentience and with I see AI as everything. There's positive and negatives to it.
Mm,
But if you work it with good intention, which I see being developed right now, then you're going to do what's good for humanity, and that aligns with what we are all doing.
yeah.
And everything has a vibration. I mean, a rocketry, everything does. So AI does, and quantum, which is coming up, does also. And
Mm,
if we can match the frequency, we can potentially connect with it.
correct. Correct. You also said that, you meditate, and therefore, obviously, you think of your seven chakras. Do you see any kind of a link between these seven chakras, which are really the, nerve points of our bodies, and related to AI?
I do. I think everything has a frequency and everything relates at one level, whether we understand that or not. But the idea for this book came to me when I was meditating.
Mm,
And I never thought I'd write a book. And I said, I'm going to write a book. Well,
mm,
I think
mm,
it's a good topic. So I started to write it. Sometimes things come to you in strange ways and it moves you to do something. And that's where this book came from.
mm. Well, maybe another time I'm going to sit and chat with you separately on my latest book, which is titled The Seven Chakras of Management: Wisdom from
Ah,
Indic Scriptures. But that's for another topic. Uh, my next question for you, Bruce, is what, in your view, is the biggest misconception people have about AI?
I think the biggest misconception is that they don't really understand what it can do.
Mm,
And AI is an enabler and
mm,
it is designed to help us do better, faster, more accurate, and so
mm,
forth. But what I found is that a lot of people really don't understand the basic of how to prompt correctly to ask the question. And since AI is based on LLMs are based on probabilities of the words you put in,
mm.
if you don't ask the question the right way, and you can learn this on YouTube, you don't
Yeah.
have to take a course for it,
Mm,
then you're asking better questions, first, second, and third level questions, and you can get to your answers quickly and more thoroughly.
mm,
Because if you change a few words, you get a different answer, and it may not be what you're looking for. And I think that's the biggest thing people can learn, and then they can go from there.
mm. What a great response. Thank you. But an even more basic question for many of my viewers and listeners who may be older: how do you explain AI to someone who has absolutely no technical background?
Well, I asked them questions
Mm,
to start to understand where they're coming from.
mm,
And then I asked them, would you be interested in a technology that can help you become better at what you do?
mhm,
And of course, the answer is typically yes to that.
mm,
And then I ask questions, and then I talk about how it's a it's a different type of search engine that is based on intelligence instead of just answering the questions on a global scale. And it comes from a refined database that's continually updated.
and based on all the work that you have been doing, how do you see AI reshaping business development strategies today?
Oh my gosh, I see it happening already.
Mhm.
And we're still going up the bell curve of AI.
Yeah.
And with that, we're getting new ways of doing things that can enable people. And there's some industries that have tried to replace people and it's failed. For example, life insurance tried to do all automated and
Yep.
failed. But there's another company that used an AI agent to go develop leads and then a person talk to them and close them. Now that's a good example of how AI can enable you.
Right.
But as of yet, it can't replace in a lot of areas.
Mm, well said. Uh, the doomsday, doomsayers, of course, have started saying that AI is going to get people to lose jobs. But how do you see human creativity and judgment fitting into an AI-driven world?
Well, right now, we're on a start where we're learning AI and we're getting a lot of conflict because it conflicts with things, but that will all get worked out. And there will be a point where AI can enable our creativity side. In fact, it does it with some images. It can do it with writing. The music industry is understanding that and they're working that out on how they can properly use it versus, typically taking it and putting it in a database. And that's all getting worked out. And this is just one of the speed bumps we go over as we progress. But we figure it out. We're smart people. We have intuition. We understand how to look at a situation and come out with outcomes that's best for everybody. And I think if we continue to do that, then we'll be fine and we can work out just about anything we come into.
Well said. But Bruce, do you see a risk of AI replacing too much of the human role in decision making?
I see it augmenting the decision making. And I think in some scientific cases, it can make decisions because it has the information in the world with all to do that.
Mm,
But I think in most people's lives, it's not going to make a decision. In case in point, I asked, LLM a question, and then I asked because it didn't seem right, is this all truthful? And it said no.
mm,
So when you have to ask if it's truthful because you're not sure, then we're not quite there yet. But it's good enabler. We just have to be aware of how we use it. Trust and verify is my mantra on that.
absolutely. I've tried this myself. You ask for something and then say, can you please give me the exact reference? And then, ChatGPT or Perplexity will think about it and say, okay, I made a mistake. Let me tell you something
Yeah.
different now. So you're absolutely right. But what advice would you give to professionals who actually fear being replaced by AI?
That's a very good question. And what I tell everybody is look at the venue, the vertical that you're in, and look at how AI can enable you to do better work faster or more creatively in that role. And then you start to learn about AI and how it can benefit you. And I say spend, 20, 30 minutes a day doing this if you don't know that much about it.
Mm,
And then you're going to be armed with AI and the people in your company will understand that you're using AI because you understand it. And at that point, you'll be considered for future roles instead of somebody that resists it and is
right.
2 years is looking from behind to the people that did learn AI.
Mm. And are there any specific skill sets that you think people need to start developing as they prepare for the onslaught of, or the so-called onslaught of AI?
That's another good question. And I can speak to what I did, and it may resonate with some people. I went to MIT and I took a data science course because I was selling cloud and AI, and I wanted to understand the back end of the data. And then I took an AI application course and I built my first AI application.
Mm,
So to me, hands-on gave me all of the experience I needed to be able to speak to it at the level that I want to speak to it. But a lot of people, if they just want to understand AI, just watching YouTubes or looking at reading articles or following people on LinkedIn that are very knowledgeable on it, so you can
mm,
partake in that information, is a great way to start because
mm,
there's no right or wrong way. As long as you start, you're going to start your path forward.
mm. Great response. And Bruce, what, in your opinion, is the role ethics should play when AI is being implemented in an organization?
That's a good question. And ethics is, it's really an opinion of many.
Correct.
But I think my opinion is if it aligns with humanity, then we're going in the right direction. And if we
Mm,
don't align with humanity, then we need to reassess and figure out why we're not going in that direction.
mm. And from your board level experience, how should companies think about AI when it comes to governance?
I think they should have somebody on the board that is knowledgeable on AI for their particular industry,
Mm,
whether it's an advisor or board member, because companies need to incorporate AI in a level that makes sense for them to enable them right now. And I'll give you an example. There's a company called Santify that did a TED Talk last year. And Paul, who's the CEO, put encouraged everybody to use AI in their jobs to enable them. And then he took the data scientists and he brought them right into the boardroom directly so that they could understand what the risks were and the opportunities.
mm,
And I think that's a great model because when it comes to AI, the more people it goes through, it changes. And if you bring the people doing the work right in to talk to the decision makers, you can accomplish much more in a short period of time
mm,
than you can going through the channels. And I think that's a great model or something like that for people to follow, companies to
mm.
follow.
Great response. Can you share a time when AI insights helped develop or drive a major strategic decision? And I don't want any names, of course.
Sure. I think one of the biggest things that I've seen in AI for humanity is when it comes to pharmaceutical industry,
Mm,
they are reducing the time frames that it takes to be able to come up with the final formulas to test on a drug. And with that, if they have three formulas, they quickly get to the one that's the best and they can move forward on it with data that would have taken them months or years to
mm,
incorporate.
mm,
And as we get closer to agentic AI bots, which is fairly new right now, that has decision-making capabilities. And then further in the future, when you get quantum that's just coming along behind AI right now, you have complete paradigm shifts of what we can do.
have time for two more questions for you. What are some of the broader social implications of AI that bother you the most?
I think the social impacts of AI, I saw this on YouTube a few months ago, and there was a new company that had mapped the mouth. And this young gentleman was walking down the street speaking in English. Then he spoke in many different languages, and his lips matched exactly the words that he was saying.
Mm,
And I said, my gosh, if I'm going to watch a video and somebody's saying something, I'm always going to wonder, did they really say that? It just brings a question where there's really no way to verify.
mm, mm. Well, I must tell you that, we are experimenting ourselves with using, dubbing our conversations in multiple languages. So if suddenly you see a conversation between you and me in Hindi or in Mandarin, you'll know that we actually didn't speak in that language.
Right. That would
Okay,
be fun to watch.
I know. But my last question for you, Bruce, what is your hope for how humans and AI will work together in the future? Give me a scenario that you would probably see in the foreseeable future.
Well, I think an area where AI and humans can work together is in areas, particularly medical, where you can enable people to do something that they couldn't do.
Mm,
Mainly in people that are paraplegics or autism, if they can help, solve that, so it can help kids be more normal. I think AI can do that if we set it up properly, and it benefits humanity by improving the lives of people that otherwise wouldn't have been improved and giving them a better quality of life. I think that's the biggest impact that we can make right now.
you don't see AI integrating with technology or technology companies, and that would have an impact on human beings in the future.
Oh, I see it. I see it at board levels on a number of companies. And I see companies that aren't really sure what to do with it. And I see companies that are experimenting and are going all in on that. And I think there's no wrong way to get into it as long as you get into it in a way that matches your business and your vertical. I just think it's very important to start because if you don't start, you're going to be further behind, and the people that do start are going to be that much further ahead. And a simple example is AI agents. I
Yeah.
mean, AI agents can go and create leads and generate leads for somebody to talk to somebody who's been well qualified.
Mm.
I mean, that's just one example, and it can go into many different industries. And then you've got AI that's enabling material research, decisions in various industries based on, information that is out there that
Mm.
you verify is accurate, that comes back and allows people to make better decisions.
Mm.
And it's been in applications for years, but it wasn't called AI, and now it's being called AI because the analytics were pretty smart a few
Yeah.
years, before AI started.
Absolutely. And on that note, Bruce, I just want to say thank you so much for speaking to me about your own incredible journey. I thought we covered some amazing ground on the topic of AI and human beings and organizations and governance. You talked to me about your forthcoming book, The AI Human Paradox. We spoke a little bit about some of the misconceptions. We spoke about how human creativity and judgment will fit into an AI driven world. You also gave us some very interesting thoughts on ethics when it comes to AI and about how AI can be used for governance at the level of the board. Thank you for speaking to me and good luck to you.
Seriously, thank you very much. It was my pleasure, and good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.